Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at compliance and financial management. And the goal of this video is to help you set up your compliance, tax strategy, and financial management systems on the My SME Manual, as well as looking at some practical tools and systems on how to manage your finances. So let's jump over to the My SME Manual. We're going to navigate our way to number 5, which is My Business Compliance and HR. Number 1, you'll see we're going to take a look at your basic company compliance. This is very simple. After your company is registered, just provide the name by saying Formal Shoe Pty Ltd with your registration number. Let's say this is my registration number for Formal Shoe. Right, same with the share certificate, listed shareholders and the allocated shares, the bank account details, the tax verification number, as well as your additional compliance. If anything is applicable for you in terms of your industry, you can add it over here. I do have a link over on this section, which if I'm going to open it up, you'll see it's going to open up on our information sheet on the Google Sheet that I've created for you. And it's going to open up on the legal box compliance. So the idea of this is, if I'm going to copy this over to my online course example, I'm going to add a new sheet and we're going to rename it to compliance. The goal here is to have a sheet that keeps your compliance up to date. Especially if you look at your annual compliance, which is your annual returns and your annual tax submissions. But ultimately, you want to know that my basic compliance is in place, like the PTY registration, the share certificate, bank account, tax verification, your trademark. That's an important one when you go national or global. Your COIT registration, which is something that needs to be in place if you have anything that's dangerous for your employees or your clients, or they can fall and get hurt. Very important registration to have. And yes, the more important one, it's your annual returns. So if I registered my company on the 15th of July, it's going to cost me X amount of money, but ultimately annually on the 15th of July, I need to renew or pay my annual returns to CIPC to keep my company active. Right. Also, if you've got any other passwords, profiles that's important for your business, I suggest keep your passwords either on a password manager, download it, a safe app, or alternatively put your passwords on a sheet that you can easily have access to them and not lose them. Right, so that is your compliance. Let's jump over to the My SME Manual again. Your tax strategy, what you can do over here is select which option works best for you and just answer these concepts. That's very simple. I want to spend a bit more time on the financial management. So there's a couple of things you need to manage under your financials in your business. This is super, super important. Obviously, if there's no money in the bank, you are in big trouble in your business. So you got to manage this area carefully. All right. And I come here from a lot of experience where I've burned my fingers a lot of times and I was in hot water for the majority of building my SME. I promise you, I think for the last 4 out of the 6 years of building, I've been in real financial stresses more than I wanted to be. Right, financial management. You first of all need to manage your income and your cash flow. Very important. And your expenses. Okay, so it's very simple. Especially when you start out and you're a young business, don't overstretch yourself with expenses. That's probably rule number 1. Personally, I've got myself in quite a bad position with the rent and the offices that I'm renting where I'm currently at. And I promise you, I'm paying my school fees. And it's as simple as I didn't actually sit down, make a calculated decision with logic, based on statistics and data and what can happen going forward. I looked at my current situation. I thought, okay, we're growing, things are looking good. I'm probably assuming that I'm going to have to employ a couple of people, so I'm going to take extra space and then Yes, so that was more or less how I assumed we're gonna grow, and I justified getting the bigger space. So I also overstretched myself in terms of the length. Instead of negotiating a shorter length for if it doesn't work out as I expected, I negotiated a longer length, which is very stupid. And I got myself stuck into a rent agreement that I'm really paying school fees on until next year, January. So this is just me being honest. And I come here from experience where I'm saying the unnecessary expenses of this office did put me under a lot of pressure the last year and a half. But luckily we're starting to grow a bit more now, so it's less of a problem for me. But keep your expenses as minimal as possible. Your salary, unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but if you start a business, you can't just take the salary that you want. You have to pay what you can afford just to get by for the first while. All right, you got to leave as much cash in the business as possible because it needs development, it needs building, and that all costs money. So for the last 6 years, literally, the last 6 years, I've worked my ass off, and I haven't really been fairly compensated. If you look at the concept of how much I put into this business and how much I got out, it's only the passion that kept me going for a long while. And I only paid my salary according to my needs. Okay, and that's the concept of delayed gratification. And I promise you, in 2 years from today, it's going to be 8 years that I'm building this business, and it's going to be a different ball game. And I'm going to be eternally grateful that I actually delayed my gratification and just ensured a lot of resources available for my business development, etc., etc. Right, bookkeeping management, very important. I've got a recon sheet here. I suggest every single day you log into your business account and you do your recon. So you'll see I've got if you go to the legal box finances there at the bottom, you'll see legal box finances. Copy it over to your sheet. Right, let's add a sheet. We're going to say finances. We're going to paste the formulas, and what this is this is a nifty little tool that's going to help you to manage your cash flow daily. Okay, and I suggest you log into your bank account every single day and you note the transactions that took place. I'm going to just work here with my, let's say my columns. Okay, now it fits in, not quite. There we go. Okay, so it fits in. And what I'm doing over here is I am just fixing the rows. So I'm logging into my bank account every day. I'm noting the date, the transaction description. Is it a sale for product service 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5? Is it a vendor payment, or is it an expense? That's as simple as it gets when you start your business or you have no control over the finances, just to get some sort of control. As simple as this. You copy this sheet every single month and you make sure you're in full control of your financials. If you keep this up to date properly, you're going to see which product or service brings in the most revenue. You're going to see which one brings in the most gross profit. And a profitability scale will tell you which product or service is the most profitable for you. Right, just populate these yellow boxes. And obviously you want to populate this every single day for every single transaction in your business. Then you get your gross profit. If we go down, you've got your operational expenses. So now you just count under what these expenses fall. Make sure that you put that into your operational expenses. Then you get your profit before salaries. Now you've got your salaries over here. You've got your commission, total before tax, tax and payable salary, and that's going to give you a net profit. A very simple tool that will help you to get order and control of your finances in your business. Right, so let's jump over to the My SME Manual. Once you've got that Google Sheet up and running, you can just answer it's set up with the correct link. And I highly suggest that you get a tool to help you with your bookkeeping. Xero is quite a good tool. You've also got Sage, you've got Pastel, etc. There's a lot of accounting tools out there. I personally like Xero, but I've heard that Sage is also very good. Right, the next part is your salaries and commissions. It's not just about paying people what they want. It's about thinking about the best possible scenarios for your business. And the way you do that is you look at high basic, low commission. That's your first option. You look at a low basic, high commission. That's your second option. And you look at standard. I'm a big advocate for, I hope that's the right term that I used there, but I love commissions, okay, because it gives people that extra bit of motivation to do the work. So every single thing in my business is commission based. Whatever you do, you get commission for. And I personally prefer the standard basic, standard commission, or sometimes the low basic, higher commission. Right, and I try to make it fair. Obviously, you want to be fair towards your employees, but I promise you what I've seen is if the commissions are right and it's fair and people love the idea worth working for in your business, you will build a loyal employee base if you treat them with respect and you develop them as leaders, and you've got the salaries right. Never ever cheat your employee, ever. Okay, I've heard terrible stories out there, especially small businesses, because the owner sometimes gets greedy and they lie, and then end of the month, when it comes to paying the commissions after the person performed, they keep it back, etc., etc. It's a very nasty thing to do, so don't do that. And then just add your final salary calculations here. All right, then we get the next one, which is sales targets and projections. Famously, one of the things that most people struggle with because they highly overextend themselves. My suggestion is as follows. Your first 6 months of trading or relaunching this business, you got to really take a look at the stats. What turnover comes in? Then you got to calculate to make sure that you get a growth figure for month 1 to 6. How you do that is I've created a formula here for you where you say, for instance, in this case, you're going to say here, the formula is the former divided by the latter. And then you multiply that by 100 and you minus that figure by 100, and that's your growth percentage. So let's say, for example, month 1 and let's rather say, month 1 to 6, I did 500,000 Rand, and I now want month 7 and 12. I want to get the growth figure, and let's say month 7 to 12. Let's do this. Let's say 500,000 Rand for month 7 to 12, and then month 1 to 6 and 7 to 12, I did 1 million. Right, now I want the growth percentage for the year. How much did I grow from month 6 to month 12? So I'm going to open up my calculator. I'm going to say, right, we're going to take the former, which is 500,000 Rand. I'm going to divide it by the latter figure, which is 1 million. I'm going to minus it by, I'm going to multiply by 100 and minus 100. And there we go. So forget about the negative. Okay, just look at that figure over there. That is your growth percentage, 50%. So we grew by 50% from month 6 to month 12. Let's say, okay, so this is what we did here. We did 1.5. Okay, now I want to make my projections for year number 2. What I need to do is I now need to say, okay, if we grew by 50%, I'm gonna be conservative and say year 2, I'm projecting growth of 25%. So I'm dividing my growth my current growth, I'm dividing in 2, just to be a bit more conservative. So I'm going to say, all right, if I did 1.5 in, oopsie, that's should not put it like that. Let's say if I do 1.5 in year number 1, I want to figure out how much I will do in year number 2. I'm going to say 1.5 divided by 100 times 25, because I'm projecting a 25% growth. So I'm going to say I'm projecting I'm going to grow by 375,000. So I'm going to add that to the 1.5, and I'm expecting sales of 1.875. Okay, if I use these calculations, I'm using realistic data and statistics to make my projection. So this is now my projection. And it's not a thumb suck. I've used my year 1 figures. I said, okay, there's a 50% growth from month 6 to 12. Let's be conservative. Let's divide the 50% growth to 25. And that's what I'm expecting year 2. That's how I suggest you look at your growth, your financial projections. And yes, that's in a nutshell. I've added the formula here for you, as well as examples. You can follow that. And please note that we do assist with accounting services as well. If you need any assistance with your annual financial statements and management accounts, your tax returns, your monthly financials, your SAR submissions, PAYE, etc., please contact us or visit our website, mysme.co.za. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was insightful. I want to encourage you to stay up to date with your financials, and I will see you in the next video.